Hello and thank you for attending my PowerPoint presentation on Feixiao, the Merlin's Claw. Feixiao is the Merlin's Claw of the Xianzhou Yaoqing, one of the 7 Arbiter Generals. She calls herself the Lacking General, which honestly is so poorly translated compared to the CN translation, which is the Sanwu Jiangjun, which translates more to like 3 knots general. Which doesn't translate well to English in general, but at least it doesn't make her sound incompetent. Her entire style of doing things is charge in, wipe the floor, think later, which is very unlike Jing Yuan's meticulous planning. She describes herself as the most impatient person of the Cloud Knight. Or rather, Jiao Qiu describes her as such, and she agrees. Gameplay-wise, she has bent the meta to her will since her release. Currently, it's still a little hard to say whether that'll change in 3.0. In terms of base stats, she has pretty okay stats across the board. I mean, she is pretty frail, and in terms of speed, she is tied with Qingyun, with being the 2nd to 3rd fastest character in the entire game. Which is the Glass Cannon build, which is Hunt's very identity. Her basics are basic. They deal damage to the single target. They generate 1 skill point, although she doesn't have energy. They're identical to most other basics. Her skill immediately deals single target damage, then immediately launches 1 instance of her talent's follow-up against the target. This consumes 1 skill point, and again, she doesn't have energy. Speaking of the talent, her talent makes it so that her ultimate can be used when she reaches 6 out of a maximum of 12 stacks of Flying Aureus. After every 2 attacks from allies, she gains 1 stack of Flying Aureus. After Feixiao's teammates attack an enemy target, she immediately launches a follow-up attack against the primary target, dealing wind damage equal to 110% of her attack. If there's no primary target, it just hits a random enemy instead. This can only trigger 1 time every Feixiao's turn. On top of this, whenever this launches, she also gains 60% damage bonus for 2 turns, which can easily be maintained considering this is triggering almost every Feixiao turn, except maybe the first. So as for the ult in question, first she launches up to 6 attacks of either Bolt Thunder Blitz or War Axe Skyward to a single target. Bolt Thunder Blitz deals wind damage equal to 60% of her attack, but the damage multiplier increases by 30% of her attack when the enemy's weakness broken. War Axe Skyward is just the inverse. She deals damage equal to 60% of her attack, which increases by 30% of her attack when the enemy is not weakness broken. In this clip here, the first 3 hits are Bolt Thunder Blitz, and the last 3 hits are War Axe Skyward. Then she deals wind damage equal to 160% of her attack to the target. In total, the multiplier goes up to 700% of her attack to the single target if you choose the correct ones. Again, this costs 6 Flying Aureus instead of energy. The correct choice will always be highlighted, so there's not really a need to think. If you play on PC, spamming spacebar will automatically just unleash the correct one for you. I'm not sure if there's an equivalent for other devices. Her technique enters the onrush state for 20 seconds. This pulls in nearby enemies and increases movement speeds by 50%. It also destroys all destructible objects in the radius. When entering combat in this state, starting combat will initiate combat against all pulled in enemies at once, but in waves. At the start of each wave, she deals wind damage equal to 200% of her attack to all enemies, which is guaranteed to crit. This also increases by 100% of her attack for each enemy that's pulled in, up to 1000% total with 8 enemies. This also does count as an attack for the purposes of Flying Aureus. Her A2 trace gives her 3 Flying Aureus at the start of combat. Additionally, at the start of her turns, this mostly for just her first, if she didn't trigger her talent's follow-up attack, she gains 1 attack towards the next flying Aureus. Her A4 trace causes her ultimate to also count as dealing follow-up damage. Additionally, follow-up attacks also gain 36% crit damage. Her A6 trace gives her 48% attack for 3 turns when using her skill. She also gets 24% crit damage, 28% attack, and 12.5% defense from minor traces. For E1, after every ultimate hit, she additionally increases the ultimate damage dealt by her by an amount equal to 10% of the original damage, stacking up to 5 times and lasting until the end of the ultimate action. This one I'm honestly not very sure how it works. From what I've heard, this is allegedly a completely separate multiplier, not in the equation. Kind of like Acheron. But honestly, I can't really be sure. Her E2 is her 1 stack of Flying Aureus for every follow-up attack launched by allies, up to 6 stacks per turn. The thing is, E2 doesn't stay instead. That means this is getting 1 stack of Flying Aureus on top of already giving 1 more attack towards the next Flying Aureus. Effectively speaking, this is 1.5 Flying Aureus per follow-up attack, which is absolutely insane. Her E3 gives +2 trace levels to her ult and +1 to her basics. Her E4 causes her follow-up attack to gain 100% toughness reduction, which is nice, and when launched, she also gets 8% speed for 2 turns. Her E5 gives +2 trace levels to her skill and talent. Her E6 causes her ultimate damage to also get 20% all-type res pen. Her talent's follow-up attack is also now considered ultimate damage. Plus, the talent's multiplier is also increased by 140% of Feixiao's attack, which is over double. Feixiao is one of the top dogs of the current pre-summon meta, and she'll probably stay there for a little while longer if the weaknesses are around, given the sheer strength of the Fart core. For those who don't know, that's the Feixiao Avengerine Robin Topaz core. She's also absolutely insane in Divergent Universe, where Brain and Navad gives 12 Flying Aureus, which allows for absolutely absurd ult spamming. Divergent Universe aside, 700% damage multiplier is one of the highest in the game. It's only really rivaled by Acheron. And as long as follow-ups and high-frequency attackers continue being good, she will probably continue being good. Alright, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, do like and subscribe. You might as well check out the other PowerPoints while you're watching this one if you haven't already. Let me know what PowerPoint I should make next in the comments. I do read all of them. Alright, bye.